Hei, jeg heter Øystein. Vi er i 7. klasse. Vi ønsker dere alle velkommen til Barnebokbad i dag. Dere skal sammen med oss få være med på et bokbad der vi intervjuer Andy, som har skrevet bøkene og Gutta i tause. Vi har jo alle lest denne boka, så det blir spennende å høre hva han svarer på alle de spørsmålene vi har.
Hei, jeg heter Tine. Jeg skal ikke snakke på bare om det. Jeg synes det er bra. Det betyr at jeg skal bare snakke om det. Nå har det vanskelig, siden Andy sitter i Australia og med hund, men at vi skal bare forfatteren i spørsmål.
Hei, jeg heter Even. Klassen var sammen med Hege fra biblioteket i Aksdal, og Eivind jobber med å lage spørsmål som vi håper vi får svar på nå. Som Tine sa, så bor Andy i Australia. Han har gift og 2 jenter og en katt med 3 barn. We want to welcome Andy to this Barnebokbad at Nedstrand barne ungdomsskule. We just told the people in the room a little about you, Andy.
As you know, our class have worked on making questions for you. And I'm now going to introduce the 4 people that's going to ask the question for us. This is Oscar, Livia, Magnus, and Sofia. We are looking forward to the interview. Over to you, Oscar. First question for you. Is this the first time you have been interviewed by teens?
Yeah, I think it might be. Usually it's just one person, but now there's 4 of you to gang up on me and make me tell the truth.
We all wonder, do you live in a treehouse or do you have a treehouse in your garden?
No, I do. But I am in a room above my garage in the backyard, which kind of is full of all my writing things. And it's where Terry and I like to work. And when we look out, we can see the ocean, we can see people walking. So it's kind of like being in a treehouse. And when I was a kid, I used to go to my cousin's house, David, and he had a single platform in a tree. And we would spend hours up there just making up make-believe games. And so I said to Terry one day, this is just like being in the treehouse. We're making up a make-believe story, and we should create a treehouse that we can write those stories in. So, but it was a fictional treehouse. I just said, can I have a bowling alley, a tank full of man-eating sharks, and a marshmallow machine that follows you around and fires marshmallows into your mouth? When Terry said, sure, I'll go and do that. And so he drew, and he drew what became the 13-story treehouse. So he drew 13 levels. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. I didn't even know you could draw that well. But I want to live in that treehouse. So the books, imaginatively, I feel like I have a treehouse and that everything that I talk about actually happened, even though I know it didn't. Not all of it.
Have you always wanted to be a writer? Did you get another education first?
I was writing as soon as I was old enough to pick up a pen. I was writing silly things that made my family laugh. And so let me give you an example. My dad was sick. He was in bed, not feeling well. So I made him a get well card. But it wasn't a normal get well card. It didn't say, oh, Dad, I love you, get well soon. It said, hey, you, Dad, if you don't get better soon, you are doomed. We will dig a hole in the backyard and we'll drop you in and we'll bury you and the worms will eat you. And I did some helpful little pictures all the way along. And he laughed and got better really fast. Okay. And then my whole family, I have two sisters, younger sisters, and then they started doing silly get well cards. On Mother's Day, we would threaten our mother, hey mum, have a good day or you are doomed. And so that's how I started writing, and it was always to make my family laugh and my friends at school. When we should have been working, I was in the back row. We were drawing cartoons and going, look at this, this is hilarious. And so that's what I did. And I was actually, I love music, and I was in a punk rock band, and I used to write the lyrics for the band. So I ended up singing in a band. Well, I can't sing. I can only scream, and it's a horrible sound. But in Melbourne, Australia, where I live, we love horrible sounding music. And so I did that for a long time. And then I became an English teacher, and my students said, oh, we hate reading and we hate writing. So I started writing silly stories for them to make them like reading more. And I wrote one about, it was called The Day My Bum Went Psycho. I don't know if that translates, but do you know what a bum is?
No, not really.
It's a thing at the back of your legs. You know, if you bend over and someone kicks you, that's what we call it.
Yeah.
That was a stupid example. Part of my body jumped off and ran away. And so that's how I began writing, writing silly things, and then I started getting serious.
What made you start writing books? When did you write your first one?
Well, I was writing them when I was your age, and I would just make little books, like this one, a very little book with 12 pages, and I would just type them out and print them, and then take the 3 pages and staple them in the middle. So they were the first books that I wrote, and I just made my own books for many years. The first published book was Just Tricking, which was in 1997, so almost 25 years ago. With and Terry was there. He was the first illustrator I ever had, and we've been together ever since.
Do you like writing? Are you happy when you write books?
I love writing. I love the challenge of well, actually it started in this. This is my writing tool that I've been using since I was in grade 4. I started a little book where I just started writing things, and it's very untidy, and it's just notes about what happens and any ideas that I have. You can see it's not very, it's only for me, but I love sitting in bed and just like thinking up the stupidest things I can and writing them down. And that's how it turns into stories. So, yeah, I love the challenge of coming up with something that nobody has ever thought before. And then, of course, there's a lot of work to rewrite it and get it illustrated and make it all work. So it takes a year to write a book, and occasionally that can be really frustrating and hard work. But overall, I love it.
Are you proud of your books?
No, not at all. They're stupid. and I don't think anyone should read them. But I kind of like that. So yeah, I am really very happy with the books, and I love just getting together with Terry. We laugh a lot, and we draw a lot of things and write a lot of nonsense. And my wife Jill is very important as well. She's an editor, and she helps fix the problems that we come into. So, yeah, by the time a year is over, we've worked as hard on that book as we can, and probably written it over and over and over 100 times at least to get it just right.
How does a working day in your life go? How many hours do you work a day?
I work 25 hours a day. I never stop. I get up in the morning. Well, no, I don't even. Yeah, I go to bed. I get up in the morning. I have a handful of marshmallows. Always got marshmallows, and then I'll read. I'll read for an hour, and then I'll go out and run for an hour. So, and then I'll eat breakfast for an hour. And by then I'll start feeling like writing. So I might write from about 10 a.m. to about 3 p.m., about 4 or 5 hours a day. And then I'll go out and do some more exercise and read and possibly watch something funny on television. And I'll be collecting ideas all the time, no matter what I'm doing. I'm looking, I'm listening. You can see this room is full of toys and silly things that I've picked up over the years. I might go to a shop and find a pink dinosaur and go, wow, pink dinosaur, who thought? I could use that in a story. I had a good find recently. Is the ugliest toy I've ever seen. And I said to Jill, oh, I've got to buy this. And it wasn't very expensive. And I took it home and I went, oh, there's a little button on the back. I wonder what that does. And so I turned it on and it started making noise. And I was like, and Jill said, stop it. That's really annoying. And right, I have some more then. So that was a bonus. And just looking out for silly things, that's an idea in the latest book, which is called The 143 Story Treehouse. And there's these little horrible animals called hobiars. Now, the idea for those came from this guy. There you go. So just something that you find in a shop can give you a really great idea for a character. So that's kind of working too. Even when you're not writing, you're looking around you for stuff.
Where do you write your books? Do you have a designated area?
This room is where I do a lot of writing. I do like writing in bed when I wake up, because then I feel like I'm not really working. I'm just sort of playing in the exercise book. And that's a good way to work, particularly when you're writing. You're sort of playing. You're sort of going, oh, I wonder what would happen if a pink dinosaur met this guy. And oh, would they fight? Would they kiss? Would they fall in love? Have babies? I don't know, but you're sort of looking around possibilities. So, yeah, this is a good room to write in. It's where I do a lot of writing.
How many times have you been to Norway? Are you coming back soon?
I hope so. Australia's borders are closed at the moment, and we've been in lockdown for 283 days, which is the longest of any city in the world. So I haven't even been out. Well, I've go outside, but I can't even travel 5 kilometres away from my house. And I think Norway is a little further than 5 kilometres from Australia. But I have been to Norway 3 times in the past, and I love it, and I always have a really nice time there. It's because Australia is so hot and dry and kind of a lot of deserts, and Norway is sort of mountains and snow and, you know, amazing. But ice bears, you have ice bears just running around the streets, do you?
No.
Oh, I thought you did. We have koalas. Do you know what a koala is?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you know about killer koalas?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've seen
Killer
them?
koala.
Killer. They look just like a regular koala, but they're kind of scary. Never cuddle a killer koala in Australia.
Who is your idol or who inspired you?
This guy. I idolize him. No, I love a writer called Enid Blyton. She was an English author, and she wrote adventure fantasy books, which I loved growing up. One was called The Magic Wishing Chair, and it was a chair that you sit in, and it grew little wings out of the side of its legs, and then it would fly out the window and take you to magical lands. Like you might go to the land of giants, or you might go to upside down land, and you were always a bit scared, but you were always, oh, this is amazing. I wonder what's going to happen next. So Enid Blyton was my favourite author, and I try to be a bit like her, because our books are really fantasy adventure with comedy thrown in.
Did you do all the things it says Andy and Terry did in the book before writing the book?
Do I look really stupid?
I don't think so.
Don't answer. No, we didn't do all the things, but Terry is someone who doesn't really do his work when he should. Like he'll be supposed to be drawing something, and I'll say, "What have you done?" And he'll say, "I've drawn a picture of my finger," and I go, "Right, it's not really what you were meant to be drawing, is it?" And he goes, "No." And I say, "What am I meant to do with that?" So I'm a bit like Andy in the book. I'm like, "Come on, let's get the book done." And Terry's a bit like, "Oh, wow, let's just sit here and draw pictures of our finger." And Jill, as I said, helps us fix the books. So the general characters are true, but when you write, you don't have to stay true to the facts. You can exaggerate, and you can make, you know, a little ant. You can make it into a giant ant, and so yeah. As long as you, I try to believe what I write, so I can make you believe it, even if it's not true.
Are you and Terry best friend in real life? How did the two of you meet?
Do you want the true story of how we met, or the not very true story? The not very true story is much more entertaining.
I don't know.
That's where I run away from home and live in trees and steal food from restaurants, and then a cook chases me down the hill with a big knife, and I jump into a pedal boat and I pedal out to sea, and I get lost at sea. And then I see an island in the distance, but it's not an island. It's a little boy wearing emergency inflatable underpants, and he's just floating in the ocean. And so I put him into the paddle boat with me, and then we were kidnapped by the dreaded Captain Woodenhead and made prisoners on his pirate ship, which is where we met Jill. And then we escaped, and he chased us. His ship got smashed on the rocks, and we built a treehouse out of the bits of his ship. So that's a not very true story. The true story is that when I had my first book accepted for publication, the publisher said, I know a guy called Terry, and he's got a really good sense of humour. I think you and him will get on well. And she was absolutely right. So that's the true story, but it's much more entertaining to make one up. And in real life, we are good friends. We're not best friends because we're quite different in many ways, but when we get together, we just love being together and making up stuff.
Do you and Terry work with each other every day?
No, we don't. We used to meet once every 2 weeks, and we'd spend the day together, and occasionally we'd go away for a whole week to a holiday house, and we would just work for 12, 14 hours a day. I haven't actually seen him for a year and a half now because he lives quite far away from me. So, but we don't need to. We can just trade drawings and ideas over the internet now, and we kind of know each other very well, how to work together.
How do you figure out what to write about?
I kind of, well, I want you as readers to really have an exciting adventure and to laugh a lot. So I'll think about things that make me laugh, but I'll try to answer a reader's question, like how did you meet, or how old are you, or what's the have you ever had a movie made? And then it'll be a problem solution. For instance, in the latest book, in the 143 story treehouse, Andy at the beginning is exhausted. He's very stressed out from COVIDs and pandemics and from doing too much touring. And so that's a problem that the character has. And then the solution is to go camping on the new camping ground level. And so then I need a new problem. So when they get to the camping ground level, I discover that Terry hasn't packed the food. He hasn't packed a tent. And then the trunkinator, the big elephant, sneezes, and we use the elephant's handkerchief to make a tent out of. So you see, problem, solution. Next problem, Terry didn't bring the food. Solution, we go fishing. Problem, we all fall out of the boat and sink. Solution, swim to the shore and make a fire. Problem, Terry's chopping wood and he chops me in half with the axe. Solution, staple me back together with a giant. So, I come up with silly solutions for serious problems, and each one suggests go. And each book is different. So the book 130 was intergalactic adventure where we went into space. The latest one is a camping adventure. 78 was a movie, Hollywood kind of book. So it's always different. But I listen carefully to the readers. The readers will tell me what they want. And for a long time, readers have been saying, oh, we want a spooky story. We want ghosts. And I said, sure, we'll have a story where we tell stories around the campfire and spooky stories. And they tell a spooky story about a man named Fred. And so I think, how can I write a silly, spooky story? Fred wakes up and in the morning he bumps his head and then he ends up dead and becomes a ghost and he flies out the window. Okay, so that's the problem. He's become a ghost. And then the ghost has a problem. It flies into a windmill and gets all cut up into lots of pieces. Fred dying. And so if a ghost dies, what does it become?
I don't know.
It becomes the ghost of a ghost.
I
The new problem, you see where I'm getting my ideas now. He becomes the ghost of a ghost, and then he gets drowned. He falls into water and gets drowned. So he dies again. So what does he become now?
The ghost of the ghost of the ghost.
Right. And we could keep this story going forever. And all you would have to do is keep thinking up ways that the ghost would die. And then it became the ghost of a ghost of a ghost of a ghost until someone tells you to shut up, because so that's how an idea sort of forms.
How many languages have your book been translated into?
About 35 countries now, 35 different languages. But Norway, along with Holland, you were the first countries in the world to love the books and find them funny and ask for translations. So that was really amazing to us, because we had never had books translated before the Treehouse books, and we'd written quite a lot, but no one, we didn't think anyone could really understand our Australian humour, which is kind of still, it must be a bit like Norwegian humour. I'll show you the best ones. My favourite books, apart from the Norwegian ones, are the South Korean books. Look at that great writing. That's amazing. And, of course, I can't read these books. I don't understand a word. So I just look at the pictures, just like many other people. So yeah, it's an amazing thing, and I'm really happy.
Are you planning on doing more Treehouse books? Have you thought about when you're going to stop?
We have, and I've tried to stop a number of times. At first I thought one book would be good, and then everyone said, "Oh, we really like that. And we had a good time, so we said, let's do another. Instead of 13, we'll add another 13 levels, and that will make a 26 story book." And then when we finished that, we said, let's do it again. And so we added another 13 levels to make 39. And I thought 3 books would be good. But then everyone said, we want more, we want more. And so I thought, okay, maybe we could go to 7 books, like Harry Potter. That's a good number. So we got to book 7, and we still had more ideas. So I said, all right, 10 books, that will be enough. And we've just done our 11th book. And I was thinking maybe 13 books, but we're actually going to do more. So I don't know. Is the quick answer to that question. We'll just keep going.
Why do you make so many books in one series?
Because this one lets us do many different types of books in the Treehouse. So as I said, we can do a space adventure, we can do a camping adventure, we can do a pirate adventure, we can do a time travel like we did in 65 Story Treehouse. We can have a vegetable fighting adventure like we did in 52, where we had to fight all those evil vegetables. So it's just endless. And I really like Andy and Terry and Jill as characters. They're just, I know what they're going to do in any situation. So it's easy and very pleasurable to write. That's why we keep going.
Why did you choose yours and Terry's name to be the name of the main characters?
Because, as I said before, when you tell a story to someone, you're trying to get them to believe you. So imagine, and we all tell stories, like how many of you have ever had to explain to your teacher why you didn't do your homework? Or you all do your homework, you're all really good students.
The teacher that's standing right here, so we can't tell.
Ah, yeah, okay. I get you. Yeah, got it. But if you were or an excuse to your parents why you haven't cleaned up your room, or why you didn't feed the dog, you would make up an excuse and you'd really want them to believe you. So that's the same. When I tell a story, I want the reader to believe me. And I used to get practice on the little kids I grew up in a neighborhood with lots of little children. And I used to go out and tell them stories of things that never happened, but they would believe me. And I'd say, oh, this morning I had a terrible bath. And they'd say, why? What happened? And I'd say, oh, a shark bit me. I was bitten by a shark in the bath. And they go, no, you weren't. And I'd go, well, what's this cut on my hand then? That's from the shark tooth. And they go, really? And so then you know that they're not sure. You go, yeah, and all I had was a rubber duck to hit the shark with to try to stop it to bite me, and it ate the rubber duck. And they go, what? And what did you do then? And then I said, well, then an octopus tentacle came out of the tap and grabbed me around the neck, and I was punching the octopus. And at a certain point they'll go, that's not true. But that's the fun, and I'm sure you've all done it. Maybe told a little brother or sister something that wasn't true. Like, oh, there's a monster under the bed. Don't go too close to the bed or your hand will come out and grab you. And then your little brother or sister go, oh, mummy, there's a monster under the bed. So it's just fun, you know. And so that's why I use Andy and Terry, because it's easier for me to imagine things when it's happening to me.
Last question for you, Andy. If you were stranded on an island, what would you bring? Only one item.
It's out of this or this, because then I have someone to talk to for the whole time. You'd never be lonely with one of these. Now that was a stupid answer. I'd take a book. This book, because it's so good I could read it forever. I actually wouldn't take that book, but I would take probably a book of short stories. I would take, I would take, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, a famous, funny, philosophical book, because I read that over and over again. So yeah, as long as I can have a book, I'm happy. And a book was really good getting us through the lockdowns. Just to be able to open the pages and disappear into another land was really a lovely thing. Did you have lockdowns in Norway?
Yeah. We had a lot of up and down.
Yeah. How long was your longest lockdown?
We had 2, hadn't we?
2 weeks?
2 months.
2 months.
2 months. Yeah, that's a long time. So I guess reading was good. What else did you do in the lockdown?
School. We had to have homeschool.
Oh, that's terrible. I'm so sorry. Why didn't you just pretend that you had computer problems? If you didn't have to pretend, you could just punch the screen. Sorry, you can't come to school today. No, don't do that. That's terrible. That's what Andy Terry would do. In fact, I've got an idea for a story where a school inspector comes to the treehouse and says to Andy and Terry, "Why aren't you in school?" And they say, "Oh, because we work for Mr. Big Nose. We write books." And he says, "You're only kids. You've got to be in school." And so he's going to take them and make them go to school. And how do you think Andy and Terry would go in school?
Not well. Do not good stuff and play around.
Yeah, they would play around. They would cause chaos, and they might even destroy the school with all the silliness that goes on. And then, so that's a big problem. You've destroyed the school. The solution could be that the school comes to the treehouse and everyone goes to school in the treehouse, and that jumps on the trampoline for sport, puts the counting hat on for mathematics, writes stories with us for creative writing and English. So then I start thinking the treehouse is like a school. So there you go. You've just reminded me of another idea.
Thank you, Andy, for showing up and spending time with us today.
We are a lot wiser and we are looking forward to reading more books from you.
We wish you a good evening in Australia and hope we will see you next time you come to Norway.
I hope so too. Thank you very much. It's been really nice talking to you all, and have a great afternoon, and I'll have a great evening.
Thanks.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
See you all later. There's the wacky waving arm flailing. 6 arms. See you later. Have a great literary festival.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.